Hey friends, this is Joseph Maynor. So what I want to do in this video is I want to do a video on energy. And this is something that's like so clear to me, so clear why this is important. But because energy is feminine, it's not really given the same kind of status as more thought-based or more mind-based tools in personal development. But I think that's a huge mistake. Because if you have the ability to perceive energy, you can see that a lot of the time, this is one of the feminine aspects to integrate that a lot of more conceptual-minded, usually men, but could also be women, fail to see and fail to appreciate. It doesn't have to. So masculine and feminine doesn't mean male and female. It's a way to organize theory that has a loose origin to the male and the female. But ultimately, if we're talking about the integral, we're talking about integration work or personal development work, not only is it important to work on your strengths, but it's also important to work on your weaknesses too. And for some people, this is a strength. For some people, it's a weakness. So what I want to do in the first instance is I want to give you guys what I think is the best model for energy, which is the 7 chakras model. And instead of just mouthing off about this, I just asked ChatGPT, can you give me a detailed summary of the 7 chakras and Kundalini all in one summary? All right, so this is what we got. I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to basically riff off of some of my own ideas as well. But in the first instance, I want to share this philosophy with you. So, ChatGPT said, sure, here's a detailed summary of the 7 chakras and the concept of Kundalini in one cohesive explanation. So let's jump right in. Chakras, the energy centers of the body. Notice that word body. Body is feminine. So mind is masculine. All right. So chakras, the energy centers of the body. In spiritual and metaphysical traditions, particularly within Hinduism and Buddhism, chakras are seen as energy centers within the body that regulate both physical and emotional well-being. There are 7 primary chakras, each associated with specific functions, qualities, and areas of life. These chakras align along the spine from the base to the crown of the head. So there's 7. We're going to do 1 through 7, and then we'll talk about Kundalini. From the bottom, the base of the spine, to the top of the spine. Notice that the spine is a physical thing. It's body. Right? We're not talking about, some kind of abstract metaphysical truth here. This is body, right? Feminine, the body, masculine, mind. So, 1, the root chakra. The root chakra is located at the base of the spine. This chakra is associated with survival, stability, and grounding. It governs basic human needs like safety, security, and material resources. Its element is earth, and its color is red. A balanced root chakra promotes feelings of safety and security. 2, moving up the spine, we have the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is located in the lower abdomen, about 2 inches below the navel. It governs creativity, sexuality, pleasure, and the emotional expression Its element is water, and its color is orange. A balanced sacral chakra enables emotional fluidity, healthy sexual expression, and creativity. So the next one up the spine is the solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus chakra, number 3, is positioned above the navel, near the stomach. It represents personal power, confidence, and self-esteem. Its element is fire, and its color is yellow. When balanced, it promotes inner strength, motivation, and the ability to take decisive action. Okay, moving up. Number 4, the heart chakra. The heart chakra is located in the center of the chest. It governs love, compassion, and emotional healing. Its element is air, and its color is green. A balanced heart chakra allows for love, empathy, and connection with others. Now, the first 3 you might consider to be the feminine chakras. The fourth one, the heart chakra, seems to be the intersection between the feminine chakras and the masculine chakras. So the feminine chakras are lower because the feminine is the small, the weak, usually the neglected, right? The masculine chakras are the higher, usually the emphasized, the privileged, the sort of what everybody assumes to be better than. Just like everybody assumes the big to be better than the small. But realize this, that there is no hierarchy here. And we'll talk about this when we talk about Kundalini. But the heart chakra is actually right in the middle between the root chakra and the crown chakra. So the heart chakra is the meeting ground between the feminine and the masculine. So now we're entering into the masculine chakras. The first masculine chakra is chakra number 5. So we're still moving up the spine. The throat chakra. The throat chakra is situated at the throat. This chakra is linked to communication, self-expression, and truth. Its element is ether or space, and its color is blue. A balanced throat chakra facilitates clear, authentic communication and the expression of one's truth. The expression of one's truth. Okay, next up, for the masculine side of the chakras, the higher rather than the lower, right? As if the higher is actually better than the lower. It's not. See, the lower and the higher are in a marriage. The next level up from the level up, right, could just be level sideways. See, don't infer any kind of hierarchy in what I'm saying here, because you want to have all of these chakras opened to have good energy. That's the point of this model. It's the chakras, the energy centers of the body. So fundamentally, even the chakras model is feminine in nature. It's more focused on the body than it is the mind. So don't over-intellectualize. That's why they're talking about colors, kind of feminine stuff. Because the feminine is extension or being or sense experience is feminine. Body. Whereas the masculine is about concepts, ideals, getting to the bottom of something in a succinct kind of linguistic or intellectual way. So the next chakra is the third eye chakra. The third eye chakra is located between the eyebrows. It is the center of intuition, insight, and mental clarity. Its element is light, and its color is indigo. When balanced, it promotes wisdom, intuition, and the ability to see beyond the material world. Very masculine, but also feminine too. Finally, at the top of the spine, from the base to the crown of the head, right? Actually, it's up here. The spine is considered actually to go from like up here down to like when you're seated, right at the bottom of your butt, right? From the bottom of your butt to the top of your head is basically what the spine is considered to be for the chakras model. So the bottom of your butt, right, as you're sitting down, right, the very base of your seat is the root. And then at the very top of your head is the crown. And then the chakras span this space. So the crown chakra is located at the top of the head. It connects to the divine, spiritual consciousness, and enlightenment. Its element is thought, and its color is violet or white. A balanced crown chakra facilitates a deep sense of spiritual connection and unity with the universe. Now notice this, that for each of these 7 chakras, there's a term that's associated with them. And the term is always in uppercase because it doesn't mean like literally like the pedestrian version of what these words mean. It's kind of an idealized or glorified term. So for the root, it's earth. For the sacral, it's water. For the solar plexus, it's fire. For the heart, it's air. For the throat, it's ether or space. For the third eye, it's light. And for the crown, it's thought. Now notice that. So the root or the feminine is about body, so it makes sense that it would be about earth. The masculine or the crown is about the mind, so it makes sense that it would be about thought. So notice the brilliance in this model of how it balances the masculine and the feminine. Or the feminine and the masculine, to flip that dichotomy around. So, okay, friends, we're halfway through the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. We'll talk about Kundalini, and then I'll give you some of my own insights with regard to energy. Just give me 1 second. All right, friends, welcome back. So let's talk about Kundalini now. So I'm still reading from ChatGPT's account of Kundalini. So Kundalini, the dormant spiritual energy. Dormant. Sounds like it's like stuck in the unconscious, right? The feminine, the unconscious. Repressing, the feminine. Repressing the unconscious. Repressing the dormant, right? You can see where depth psychology is actually very feminine. Like there's this kind of energy that's lying behind the scenes, or some kind of unconsciousness that's lying behind the scenes that's the key to perfecting the ego or the personality, the masculine's stance in the world as a thing or a person or a system. So, now I'm reading from ChatGPT here. Kundalini, the dormant spiritual energy. Kundalini is often described as a dormant spiritual energy coiled at the base of the spine, at the root chakra. It's considered a powerful, transformative force that, when awakened, can rise through the chakras, bringing about profound spiritual, mental, and emotional growth. It's almost like this sounds to me a little bit like the feminine version of psychedelics for the masculine, right? The masculine wants to have like a mind fuck. The feminine wants to, it's weird, the feminine wants to have a body fuck, right? That's the difference between the masculine and the feminine. The masculine wants to have his mind fucked. The feminine wants to have the body fucked. Now, notice that everybody has these together. It's just egos will typically put one over the other, right? Depending on the perspective. Kundalini awakening is a central concept in certain forms of yoga and meditation. The process of awakening Kundalini is thought to activate and align the chakras, leading to higher states of consciousness, spiritual enlightenment, and expanded awareness. The journey of Kundalini rising can be intense, as it often brings emotional and psychological challenges that need to be cleared before the energy moves freely through the system. Sounds a little bit like Carl Jung, right? Or Spinoza. That there's some kind of psychological challenge that this kind of model can bring a relief from by clearing energy. Not by thinking differently, but by clearing energy so that the energy moves freely through the body, not through the mind. Key aspects of Kundalini: serpent symbolism. The term Kundalini comes from the Sanskrit word for serpent, symbolizing the energy's coiled form at the base of the spine. So when you're seated, it's at the very bottom of where your butt and the ground meet. That's where the Kundalini is coiled. Chakra activation. As Kundalini ascends the spine from that point to the top of the head, that's where the spine ends, it activates and energizes each of the 7 chakras, clearing blockages and allowing the flow of energy up and down like this. Think about integrating the spiral, right? Kind of similar to this kind of idea too. This process is said to lead to balance and harmony in the body, mind, and spirit. So it takes account of the mind, but from like more of a feminine perspective, versus the masculine taking account of the body from a mind perspective, or a masculine perspective. Spiritual enlightenment. The ultimate goal of Kundalini awakening is to achieve union with the divine or spiritual enlightenment. The energy reaches the crown chakra, leading to a state of deep inner peace, awareness, and oneness with the universe. I would add on to this. I think this is too masculine. This assumes that the crown is superior to the root and that the Kundalini starts at the root. No, I think that the Kundalini can actually start at the crown. It depends on what your strengths are. So, for example, if you're way too masculine, I would say that the Kundalini would start at the crown, not at the root. The root is your weakness. You actually need the Kundalini to go down, not up, right? So, up is not always better than down. So, you can see a little bias here, a little masculine bias, even in the chakras model here, with this account that the ultimate goal is to have the Kundalini rise. Well, no, if you're strong in the heart chakra and you're weak in the crown and the root, you're going to want the Kundalini to go both directions, like, let me see, down like this, up like this, right? You're going to need to integrate the masculine and you're going to need to integrate the feminine if your strength is in the heart chakra. If your strength is in the throat chakra, you're going to need to integrate up and you're going to need to integrate down as well, usually. I mean, whatever weaknesses you have, you want the Kundalini energy to flow through the entire spine from the base to the crown, or from the root to the crown, no matter what trajectory it has to move. Challenges and benefits. The awakening of Kundalini can be both exhilarating and challenging. Emotional upheaval, physical sensations such as heat or tingling, and mental clarity are common, and they often signal a deep transformation occurring. Practitioners may experience heightened intuition, increased creativity, and a profound sense of interconnectedness. Notice that those are all feminine. Intuition, creativity, interconnectedness. Now, it's not always dark night of the soul. So, for example, this seems to show the awakening of Kundalini. The awakening of Kundalini doesn't necessarily mean Kundalini. The awakening of Kundalini means that you're integrating chakras that you're incredibly weak in. So, for example, a dark night of the soul typically is somebody who's integrating the crown chakra for the first time. Okay. So again, there's a little bit of a masculine bias here, where it's moving up is the challenge, and you're going to have this explosive dark night of the soul when you do this, of course, right? But I don't think this is a little bit too masculine of an interpretation of the chakras model. Because remember, the chakras model ultimately is feminine. It's talking about energy and it's talking about opening up all the chakras. So the deeper Kundalini is more stable energy than it is this kind of emotional upheaval. Actually, it's the exact opposite of that. So somebody who has integrated energy is very stable emotionally and very usually one of a kind of presentation, as opposed to being up and down energetically, right? I'll talk about that when I talk about my commentary in the last 5 minutes. So continuing on, let's just read the last part of this. The relationship between chakras and Kundalini. The chakras serve as the pathways through which the Kundalini energy flows. When the energy moves up through the chakras, it triggers personal growth and healing. See, don't always assume that, right? I think this is wrong, honestly. I mean, I appreciate this. I'm just telling you that it could also be the case that your energy needs to move down, not up, or it needs to move up and down, okay? So this idea that the up is better than the down, right? Already, that's a masculine bias. However, if any of the chakras are blocked or imbalanced, it can slow or hinder the process or the progress of the Kundalini rising. Chakras and Kundalini together, balanced chakras. When the chakras are opened and balanced, the Kundalini energy can move freely, leading to spiritual awakening and overall well-being. But sometimes well-being is the opposite. Well-being, you're weak in your root chakra, not in your crown chakra. You can be very strong in your crown chakra and weak in your heart chakra. It just depends. So spiritual enlightenment doesn't always mean well-being, right? You can be miserable as hell and have a lot of spiritual enlightenment because your other chakras are closed, especially the root chakra, but it could be any of them, any of the 7, or any of the 6 that you don't have, right? I find that a lot of people are weak in the third eye chakra. Yeah, just as an example. Or weaken the solar plexus chakra. Or weaken the heart chakra. It just depends, right? Everybody has a different strengths and weaknesses profile as to how they've integrated these chakras. So each chakra needs to be activated in turn, with the lower chakras being balanced first, especially the root and the sacral chakras, before the higher chakras can fully open. I disagree with that. I think that's wrong. I don't think there's any hierarchy. You already have a profile as to how open or closed these specific chakras are. It's not about assuming everybody has the root, nobody has the crown, right? No. That's wrong. This is wrong. So I'm just saying where I agree and where I disagree with this philosophy. Okay. Kundalini as a spiritual force. As Kundalini rises and passes through each chakra, it is believed to cleanse and purify any emotional or spiritual blockages. The energy progressively leads to higher states of consciousness. I don't like that, higher states of consciousness. That's too masculine. Culminating, that's too masculine, in the awakening of the crown chakra. That's too masculine, right? The goal is the crown, not necessarily. Where each individual experiences a profound connection to divine consciousness. In summary, the 7 chakras represent the fundamental energy centers of the human body, each governing different aspects of life, from survival to spirituality. Kundalini is the dormant spiritual energy within us that, when awakened, travels up through the chakras. Notice how it went from being bodily energy to spiritual energy. So we shifted from the feminine to the masculine, right, in terms of interpreting energy. But energy fundamentally is feminine. The process of balancing and aligning the chakras is key to allowing the Kundalini energy to rise and achieve a transformative, enlightened state. And maybe the Kundalini energy needs to go sideways or fall, right? So even though this is a feminine model, and even though energy is feminine, it's so interesting how we're so tempted to reframe that in the masculine too, right? Notice that. Okay, friends, so I'm going to come back and I'll give some remarks as to a conclusion. Okay, friends, welcome back. So I just want you guys to know that in my 10 nodes of life coaching model, energy is one of the 10. So my 10 nodes of life coaching model, in no particular order, are accountability, knowledge, action, energy, spirituality, happiness, creativity, health, finances, and relationships. So energy is in there. Notice how I distinguish between energy, spirituality, and energy and knowledge, because spirituality tends to be masculine and knowledge tends to be masculine. So energy is its own thing. And happiness too. Happiness, creativity, these are very feminine. And I like to give them their own place at the table. So energy doesn't need to be reduced to philosophy. It doesn't need to be reduced to spirituality. And I just want to say that I'm going to give you an example. So how to notice energy. It's hard to notice energy in yourself because sometimes it's hard to tell, it's hard to see yourself, and it's much easier to see somebody else. So notice how, if there's somebody who you interact with on a daily basis, you can really tell the difference in the energy, right? So sometimes, assuming they're wearing the same, it's a woman, and she's wearing a beautiful dress, and you encounter her, and she's just popping out of that dress. She's just her energy is, she's confident, she's happy, she's at peace, she's funny, she's giving, right? But notice how you can flip all those around, so you can see that same woman in that same dress, where the dress looks like a sad costume almost, and she's annoyed, she's not happy, she's irritated, she doesn't feel good. And it looks like this is not the same person, right? It feels that way too. So that's energy. Energy is vibe. It's how people present and how they feel, what kind of energies they transmit. And you do this too to other people. And I think the goal of energy work is to try to, like we're moving like this, like up, down, up, down, up, down, to try to get your energy to be a net positive, but like constant. I think that's what energy work is all about. And this could require doing some meditation, some work integrating the chakras model, whatever it is. The point is to, I think, make your energy more uniform and more positive, even if it's just like 5 degrees up from zero. I mean, that's still better than going from like 15 degrees above zero to 15 degrees below zero, and just like this oscillation kind of thing. Because people don't know what they're dealing with. You don't really feel good most of the time. Other people don't know what they're going to get with you, right? They might get you when you're happy. They might get you when you're on the rag. I mean, who's to say, right? But so I do think that energy is a legitimate work in personal development, and it doesn't, just like happiness doesn't need to be reduced to philosophy or spirituality, energy doesn't need to be reduced to philosophy or spirituality either. Ditto for creativity. These 3 areas of my life coaching model, they can exist on their own without any need to be reduced to anything else. Okay, friends? Hopefully this was a good video. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.